Imagine marching 20 miles a day every day for weeks straight, carrying 60 pounds of armor, weapons and gear. In the blazing heat of North Africa or the freezing mud of northern Britain, no refrigerators, no supply trucks, no restaurants along the road, just you, your sandals and whatever you could carry on your back. And somehow, the Roman soldier not only survived, he fought, he won. He built an empire that lasted 500 years. How? The answer isn't luck. It isn't magic. It's one of the most ruthlessly efficient food systems ever designed in human history, and almost nobody talks about it. We're not just talking about soldiers who didn't starve. We're talking about an army of hundreds of thousands of men, stretched across 3 continents, marching through deserts, forests, and frozen wastelands. And every single one of them had enough calories to fight, to build, and to keep going the next morning. The Roman military didn't leave food to chance. They engineered survival. And when you look at exactly how they did it, detail by detail, the whole thing feels almost impossibly modern. If you love history, ancient warfare, and forgotten stories that rewrote the world, make sure you subscribe to this channel. There's a lot more where this is coming from. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Picture a Roman legionary waking up before dawn somewhere in the province of Germania. It's cold. The ground is wet, his tent. A heavy goatskin structure shared with 7 other men. Smells like sweat and leather. He doesn't shower. He doesn't check his phone. He does one thing. He eats. And what he eats tells you everything. The core of the Roman soldier's diet was something called frumentum, grain. Specifically wheat. Sometimes barley as a punishment, but usually wheat. Hard, dense, raw grain that had to be ground down, cooked, and transformed before it became food. Every legionary received a ration of roughly 0.85 kilograms of grain per day. That's about 3 pounds. Enough to fuel a hard-working man through long hours of marching, fighting, and camp construction. But here's the thing. They didn't receive bread. They received grain. The soldiers had to grind it themselves. Every contubernium, that 8-man tent group, carried a small hand mill called a mola, a pair of circular stones. They ground the grain by hand, mixed it with water and a little salt, and cooked it as flatbread on a hot surface, or boiled it into a thick porridge called pulse. That was breakfast. That was often dinner too. It sounds miserable, but think about what this system actually accomplished. Raw grain doesn't spoil, not for weeks, not for months if stored properly. You can carry it across a desert and it won't rot. It doesn't attract flies. It doesn't drip. It doesn't stink. The Romans had figured out something fundamental. The best survival food is the food that doesn't need to stay fresh, because it was never fresh to begin with. But grain alone doesn't keep an army alive. Not really. The human body needs fat. It needs protein. It needs salt. It needs vitamins. And the Romans knew this. Not in a scientific way, but in a deeply practical, hard-won way. So alongside the grain, every soldier was issued posca. Posca was a drink made from acetum, a cheap sour wine that had turned to vinegar, mixed with water, sometimes flavored with herbs, sometimes a little honey. To modern ears, that sounds disgusting. But posca was brilliant. Water in the ancient world was dangerous. Rivers, wells, and streams carried bacteria, parasites, and disease. Soldiers who drank untreated water got sick. Sick soldiers couldn't fight. Sick soldiers died. The acidity in posca killed many of those pathogens. It made contaminated water safer to drink, and it replenished the body's electrolytes. The same reason modern athletes drink sports drinks after hard exertion. The Romans didn't call it electrolyte replacement. They just knew that soldiers who drank posca stayed healthier. And in an empire built on pragmatism, that was enough. There's even a story, whether fully historical or not, that when Jesus was on the cross, a soldier offered him a sponge soaked in vinegar. That wasn't cruelty. That was the standard drink every Roman soldier carried at his hip. It was the closest thing they had to kindness. Alongside grain and posca, the legionary diet included olive oil. used for cooking, for preservation, and sometimes for cleaning wounds. Salt, rationed carefully and considered so valuable that soldiers were sometimes paid in it. The origin of the word salary from the Latin sal, meaning salt. Lentils, dried beans, peas. Hardtack-style flatbreads that could survive weeks in a pack. Dried figs. Occasionally cured pork or hard cheese. Everything had one thing in common. It was preserved. It was dense. It was portable. The Roman army wasn't eating gourmet meals. They were eating engineered fuel. Every item in that pack was chosen because it lasted long, weighed relatively little, and gave the body what it needed to keep moving. And when you broke down the math, a fully loaded legionary was carrying about 3 days of food on his person at any given time. Beyond that, the army relied on a supply system that would look familiar to any modern military logistics officer. Behind every marching Roman army rolled a supply chain unlike anything the ancient world had seen before. The Romans built roads, not just for moving troops, but for moving food. Tens of thousands of miles of paved, engineered roads stretching across the empire, designed so that supply wagons could move quickly regardless of weather. Granaries, horrea, were positioned strategically across every province, in Britain, in North Africa, along the Rhine, along the Danube. Massive stone storage buildings designed to keep grain dry and ventilated, holding enough food to supply entire legions for months. When a Roman army marched through friendly territory, they moved along a supply corridor. Food moved toward the front. Damaged equipment moved back. The system was constant, methodical, and relentless. And if the supply chain broke down, the army foraged. Not randomly, tactically. Soldiers were trained to assess terrain, identify food sources, and extract resources from the local environment without destroying everything they needed for the return march. They requisitioned grain from local populations. Often brutally, they hunted, they fished, they traded, they stripped farms. The Roman army did not starve because the Roman army refused to allow itself to starve. Feeding the legion was treated with the same seriousness as building the camp or planning the battle. Now here's a good moment to pause and ask you something. If you had to survive in the field for 30 days with no refrigeration, no modern technology, and nothing but what you could carry, what food would you bring? What would your survival diet look like? Drop your answer in the comments. Seriously. Some of the responses to these questions are fascinating, and I read as many as I can. What would you pack? Back to the soldier. Because all of this, the grain, the posca, the supply chains, tells you what the Roman army ate. It doesn't fully tell you what it felt like to eat it. Let's slow down and really step inside the experience. It's late afternoon. Your century, 80 men, has been marching since before sunrise. Your feet are bruised from the stone road. The shoulder straps of your pack, carrying your armor, tent stake, cooking tools, and 3 days of grain, have left raw welts across your collarbone. You reach the campsite. But you don't rest yet. First, you build the camp. Every night, on every march, the Roman army dug a defensive perimeter. A ditch, an earthen wall, stakes, a gate. Every man had a job, and every job had a standard. The camp was done before anyone ate. By the time you finally sit down, it's dark. Your hands are blistered from the shovel. Your back aches. And now you have to grind grain. The hand mill is heavy. Grinding enough flour for 8 men takes 20 minutes of steady, circular motion. Then you mix the water. Then you build the fire. If there's wood, if the weather allows. Then you wait for the bread to cook. The meal itself is humble to the point of being cruel. A thick, grey flatbread. Some olive oil if you're lucky. A cup of posca. Maybe some dried beans boiled into paste. No flavor. No warmth in your... The physical and psychological toll of this life was enormous. Ancient sources describe soldiers losing weight on campaign, developing sores and blisters, suffering from intestinal problems caused by half-cooked grain and questionable water. The Roman army had military doctors, some of the most advanced medical care in the ancient world, but even they couldn't fully overcome the grind of campaign life. Morale was a constant concern. An army that feels miserable fights poorly, and Roman commanders knew it. So on certain days, rest days, victory celebrations, before major battles, the rules changed. Wine was distributed. Fresh meat was acquired, often from sacrificial animals. Bread was baked in proper field ovens by the camp's bakers. Fish sauce, garum, the Romans' beloved condiment, was added to everything. Garum deserves its own mention. This sauce, made from fermented fish guts, was ubiquitous in the Roman world. It was rich in glutamates, the same flavor compound that makes modern soy sauce or Parmesan cheese so satisfying. A few drops transformed grey flatbread from punishment food into something approaching a meal. The army understood that humans need more than nutrition. They need pleasure. They need variety. They need the occasional reminder that life is worth living. So they built small luxuries into the system. Not enough to make soldiers soft, just enough to keep them sane. What happened when the system failed? The consequences were catastrophic. In 9 AD, 3 entire Roman legions, roughly 20,000 men, were destroyed in the Teutoburg forest in Germania. One of the key factors in the disaster was logistics. The army was moving through unfamiliar territory, supply lines were stretched, and the soldiers were weakened, underfed, and caught off guard. 20,000 men. Gone. 3 legions. 3 of Rome's famous Golden Eagle standards. Captured and never recovered. The Roman response to that disaster. They didn't just rebuild the legions, they rebuilt the logistics system. They invested even more heavily in roads, granaries, and supply infrastructure across Germania and the Rhine frontier. Because they understood the lesson. An army fights on its stomach. Lose the food, lose the war. And it went the other way too. Soldiers who were caught stealing food from civilian populations without authorization faced severe punishment, decimation. The execution of 1 man in 10 from a unit was an extreme measure, but the lesser penalties for undermining military discipline around food were constant and harsh. The system depended on order. Break the order, pay the price. Here's what makes the Roman system truly remarkable. Nothing else at the time came close. Look at the armies of Persia during the same era. Massive, imposing forces that relied heavily on local foraging and tribute from subjugated regions. When campaigns moved into territory that couldn't sustain them, Persian logistics often collapsed. Look at the early medieval armies of Europe centuries later. Knights and levies who often starved on campaign, stripped the land bare, and returned home when food ran out. Many medieval campaigns ended not from battle but from hunger. Look at Napoleon, nearly 1,500 years after the last Roman emperor, and his army still struggled with supply chains in ways Roman military planners had already solved. Even the British Army in the American Revolution was plagued by logistics failures that would have been familiar to a Roman officer who might have viewed the whole mess with weary disdain. The Roman system worked because it was systematic, because it was standardized, because it was treated as a science and practiced as a discipline, not improvised as an afterthought. Grain rations were calculated, supply routes were mapped, granary placement was strategic, and every single soldier understood that food discipline, grinding your own grain, conserving your rations, not wasting water, was as much a part of being a legionary as holding a shield. So let's bring this all together. How did Roman soldiers survive weeks, sometimes months, without fresh food? They didn't survive despite the system. They survived because of it. The answer was grain. Dense, imperishable, calorie-rich wheat that could be carried across continents without spoiling, ground fresh each night, cooked into bread or porridge, and eaten by men who needed fuel above all else. The answer was posca, that ugly vinegar drink that purified water and kept intestinal disease at bay in an era before germ theory. The answer was preserved foods carefully selected not for taste but for durability and caloric density. The answer was roads and granaries and a supply chain that stretched across an entire empire, built on the understanding that an army without food is not an army at all. But more than any single item, the answer was culture. The Roman soldier had been trained to accept hardship, to prepare his own food without complaint, to conserve his rations with discipline, and to trust that the system around him, massive, invisible, and relentless, would keep him alive. The Roman army didn't stumble into success. They engineered it. Every meal was a decision. Every ration was a calculation. Every road and every granary was a deliberate choice made by people who understood that empires are won not just in battle, but in logistics. And the next time you complain about a bad meal or an empty fridge, just remember that somewhere in ancient Germania, a Roman soldier is grinding wheat by firelight after digging a ditch for 6 hours, and he is ready to march again at dawn. Before I go, I want to ask you something. Of everything you've heard today, the grain rations, the vinegar drink, the supply roads, the hand mills, what surprised you the most? Or, here's a harder question. Do you think you could do it? Could you sustain yourself the way a Roman legionary did, for weeks at a time, on nothing but what you could carry? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. And I read through the comments regularly, so don't be shy. If you made it this far, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a perfect time. We go deep on the hidden systems and forgotten stories that actually shaped history. Not the famous battles and famous names, but the grain mills and the vinegar drinks and the stone roads that made it all possible. And speaking of hidden systems, next time we're going inside the Roman army's medical corps. They had field hospitals. They had surgical tools. They had techniques for treating battlefield wounds that wouldn't be matched until the 19th century. How did soldiers survive injuries that should have killed them? 2,000 years before modern medicine. That story is coming next. You don't want to miss it.